Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're going to be taking a first look at a brand new game which comes out today called Crusader Kings III. It is developed by Paradox Interactive. It is the sequel to Crusader Kings II. It is the newest, obviously, Paradox game out there. And, what's not to say? This is a game about building a dynasty, sort of spreading your family's influence and rule throughout Europe during the Middle Ages. And overall, trying to manage the things that come with running a feudal kingdom. Now, it's not just feudal kingdoms that you can run in this game. You can run tribal peoples. You can run Islamic empires. You can even move into, the Indian subcontinent and rule the kingdoms there, or down through even parts of Africa, which I don't think it went this far south originally in CK2. The map was extended through various DLCs, but at least when it first came out, it was a much narrower focus. But they've obviously expanded the map quite substantially. One of the great things about this game compared to what CK2 was at launch is, I don't know how many of you remember, but when CK2 first came out, you were basically locked into playing just as Christian countries. I can't recall if you were able to play as Orthodox Christians. I believe you could, but you couldn't play as anyone other than Christian countries. So, you could click on a Muslim country, but it would basically tell you you couldn't play as them at that time. Or you could look at Viking countries, and countries the wrong term, right? Like tribes or kingdoms or whatnot. But you would click on them, and it would basically tell you that you couldn't play. You saw the framework in CK2 of what CK2 would become, but you couldn't play more than half the kingdoms or tribes or whatnot. The game, was very clearly not fully built out at the time that it was released, and I was fine with that. I really enjoyed CK2. And with all the patches and things, it became something truly special. But with CK3, you can play it all out of the gate, and it really does feel, pretty darn complete and ready for prime time, if you will, at launch. Now, today we're going to be playing as an Orthodox kingdom. We're actually going to be playing as the ruler of a county. We're going to be leading the family of Bagrat. We're going to be Count Bagrat of Kakheti. And this is a member of the Bagratoni family. It's kind of hard for me to pronounce, but I think it's Bagratoni or Bagratoni, which is essentially the family that is the Armenians and also the Georgians. So the head of the house, I believe, is the head of the Armenian principalities, but this family, what we're going to try to do with this family is build the kingdom of Georgia. So you can see right now, if we click on the Realms tab, we only have one county. We have basically one city that is currently in our control as the count, and that is I can't see the name of the town yet. We can see it when we zoom into the game. But then we'll be able to try and expand this rule to build the kingdom of Georgia. That's my end game, is building the kingdom of Georgia. So to do that is going to be a challenge, starting from a single county. We're going to have to take lands from Iran. We're going to have to take lands from the other neighboring principalities, and many of these are actually relatives of us. So that will be something that we have to figure out. Now, we are going to play on Iron Man difficulty, so if things go bad, or not difficulty, but the Iron Man setting, which basically means I can't save scum or go back or do things like that. So if things go bad, they may go bad, and they could go bad quickly, given that we only have one county. It would be very easy for us to lose. Now, Count Bagrat, you can see he's honest, which gives him a +2 diplomacy. So his personality traits are that he's honest, but he's also lazy, and he's also gregarious. And so he enjoys spending time with other people, although he's definitely lazy, and he has to tell the truth, which has these different perks in terms of the character's traits or his abilities. They also have influences on when we make certain decisions. We can gain stress based off of if we go against sort of our inherent personality. We're going to play on normal difficulty, and we're just going to jump right in. I have another save set up where I played last night, and I didn't record anything, but I have a save set up from last night where we actually founded the Duchy of Georgia. I had a pretty successful game. So if things go poorly, we can always load that. Okay. So first things first, you'll notice that we're starting in 867. There are actually two start dates to the game. There's a 1066, I think it is, and then an 867. 867 is like 200 years earlier than the original CK2 started, so I enjoy the earlier start dates. More time before 1453 is always always enjoyable. So you can see we're looking at the same map here. The one city that is in our control is let's click on it, is the Barony of Tel Aviv. And this is our personal city. So it's a castle holding, which means that it's basically a fortified hex, a fortified city. There are other types of terrain or other types of towns. You can see here, Metastia. I'm really just going to not pronounce these. Mayor Nurse's city is a city holding, so this is not fortified. This is my one vassal that I start the game with. And he is in our county, so he considers us the count, and here's the mayor of this city, and it is his personal holding. And then we have a bishopric as well, which is basically a church holding. So they are in our county. They do pay some taxes to us, but they are not run by us. They're run by the church, and so even though they're in my county, and even though they do add some revenue to our coffers through church holdings, it is not we don't have a ton of control over here. I can do things like upgrade buildings or whatnot in church holdings, but they're not considered a vassal. Their loyalty fundamentally is to the state. So if we take a look at our realm, we have one vassal, Mayor Nurse. He's a powerful vassal, which basically means that he's like as strong as us or stronger. So he theoretically could rise up against us, but he has a pretty good opinion of us right now, plus 28. So that's not too worrisome. Our crown authority right now is autonomous vassals, so that improves the vassal's opinion of us, but basically it means that our crown authority is very low, so our ability to just sort of do what we want to our vassals is pretty limited. In terms of the domain, you can see we have one county currently in our domain. There are 3 empty holdings, so there are different baronies within this county that we could build cities or towns or castles or whatnot in. There's a barony down south here, just south of Tel Aviv. There's a barony up here, the barony of Gaviza, and then there's a barony of Nekatesia. And I'm really going to need to work on pronouncing these things off camera so that I can do a better job of this. But you can see there's 3 empty holdings where we could theoretically build something. Constructing a holding is expensive, though. It's like 500 gold. So we can build a temple, which would belong to the church, a city, which is like what the mayor has there, which is going to generate more money, but it's not a great place to defend, or a castle, which is designed to basically be a fortress. So if we take a look at our military right now, not a ton to look at. We have 77 levies currently in our realm with 5 knights. That's what these guys are, as their knights. We can click on them and we can see their martial prowess, so basically how good of fighters they are in the battlefield. Not very good. None of these guys are particularly good knights, but you know, it's better to have some knights than no knights. You can also create a men-at-arms regiment, so that's kind of more of like a professional standing force as opposed to like peasants who are levied into your service. And we can raise 2 regiments of those at this time. Expensive to do so. We don't have the money to do it right now, but in theory we could do it. If we go down here, we'll take a look at our council. So these are sort of the nobles who sit on the table of power, if you will, of our council. They've got our wife, Countess Maria, or Mara. We've got a bishop, suffragan bishop, Constantine. We have a chancellor, a steward, marshal, and a spy master. The spy master manages intrigue and intelligence and what you would think your intelligence service would do. Your marshal is the head of your military force. Your chancellor is in charge of diplomacy, both internal with your own vassals and external with other kingdoms. Your steward is basically in charge of your finances, and then your bishop is in charge of learning or education in your realms. Additionally, and also religion, obviously. Additionally, your wife can assist different parts of your reign. So you can get a perk on diplomacy, on military, on economics, intrigue, or learning based on having your wife sort of focus in those particular areas. Or she can just, generally speaking, assist the ruler and give you additional perks based on her own traits. We've got a court with people who are in our family who are currently in our court. I'm not going to dive into that in too much detail. There's also a dungeon where we can check prisoners, but there's nobody in there currently. There's an intrigue tab, which we'll go into more when we actually have some intrigue to do. Factions, this is where like pending peasant revolts and maybe like vassals plotting against you would show up when that happens. and decisions where you can do things like create a cadet branch of your family name, invite a knight to come here to see if we can get better knights, go on a pilgrimage to a holy place, hold a feast, call a hunt, or search for a physician. My chancellor is garbage, Devontia. Yeah, I mean, so if we look at my current council, all of these ratings reflect their general abilities. It's on a scoring base of 20, I believe, so I don't think anything goes higher than 20. You can see our marshal is considered good. He's a 16 out of 20. That's pretty good. Our spy master is also good on the lower end. I think 17 would turn into excellent, but you can see 14 is still considered good. Our steward is 12, which is average. Our chancellor is 6, which is poor. That's a little bit concerning. Our bishop is an 11, which is average. So again, we've got a pretty mediocre group of individuals supporting us on the council. Our chancellor also happens to be our half brother. I'd rather replace him with someone better, but I don't actually have anyone better currently in my court or anything that I can recruit. The best person at diplomacy right now is my half brother, and he sucks. So what we may need to do is have our wife help focus on court politics to give us a +3 on diplomacy there. Her own skills are poor as well, but it'll give us a little bit better of a diplomatic situation here. All right, so you can see up top we've got our monthly income is 1.8. We have 20 gold in the treasury. Our prestige, which is sort of how our character's place in the world is measured, is at 450. His level of fame is established. He belongs to an established family with an established level of fame. People know who he is. They don't particularly think highly of him, but they know who he is. Our piety or our house. Our piety is 200. Apparently we're dutiful, so we're not not religious, but we're also not super religious. We're not faithful yet. You can see as these numbers go up, I can't really hover over, but as these numbers go up, you'll get that progress bar toward distinguished down there. That'll fill up, and we can move forward to a more advanced level of that. Meanwhile, our renown is at 441. So renown is much like prestige, but it's shared by an entire dynasty. So basically, the renown is essentially prestige that is earned by your entire dynasty. It is influenced by the number of currently living members, the number of rulers, the number of spouses to other renown. They won't generate renown if we have a liege of the same dynasty. So if we declare our loyalty to someone else, we don't gain renown if they're in the same dynasty. So that renown would stay within the dynasty. As our prestige, renown also counts toward increasing my level of splendor, which again is sort of like a family's reputation as opposed to more of a ruler's reputation. And then renown can be spent by the dynasty head in order to unlock dynasty legacies. So if we go to legacies here, we're not the head of our dynasty, so I can't spend this here, but you can essentially spend money or spend renown or your dynasty's fame to get perks in terms of warfare, law, guile, which is more of like espionage, breeding practices, I guess, education, glory, or kin, for like larger families. So these are things you can spend basically to unlock, and that will help you get better perks and different things. We can't do it right now because we're not the head of our house. So our house is the Bagrat family. You can see here the head of the house is Prince Ashot of the Armenian Principality, which is actually currently down here. It's actually part of the Abbasid Empire, so part of this Muslim empire. So he does have a vassal right now, but he's the most powerful member of our dynasty. We can take a look here at the dynasty, see everybody who's alive. There's a dynasty tree we can take a look at, and you can see all the different members of the family. It's kind of cool because it goes like way the hell back. This is a bad way to look at it. But if we go to our character and we go to my grandparents and then my grandparents' grandparents and just keep going up the line, we can actually track our entire family back to Sambat Bagratoni, who was 60 years old when he died in 320 AD, so over 500 years ago. We can go all the way back there to take a look at that. So that's introductory stuff. In terms of our character, we're 52 years old. We're in fine health, so we're still sort of in the prime of life, although a little bit older. We have a 14-level diplomacy skill, which is actually pretty good. So that's a trait we should try and work on. Our martial skills are 6, so we're not a good general, but that's okay because our The head of our military, that our marshal on our council is what was it, a 14 or a 16? So he's pretty darn good. Our stewardship is poor, so we're not good at economics. We're okay at intrigue, nothing special, and we're kind of not very smart. We're a learning 5. Our prowess is 0, which is apparently terrible, and that's our character here. We can see our orientation is heterosexual, and we have a spouse, Mara, who is apparently a rapacious villain. So you can see our traits are honest, lazy, gregarious. We're also a flamboyant trickster, which improves our intrigue score. And then we're a seducer, which improves our intrigue score again, but also gives us a plus 20 fertility and a plus 40 of attraction from other people. So, yeah. Our wife, meanwhile, is poor at diplomacy, at military. She's okay at stewardship. She's pretty good at intrigue, not very smart in terms of learning. And her prowess is better than me. So she's apparently a sadist, which gives her intrigue and prowess perks, plus some natural dread of other people dread her. She's also stubborn, and she is ambitious and a flamboyant trickster as well. We also have a son who's currently the heir to the throne. He's 13. He's in good health. He also has a temperate and stubborn nature, which apparently helps to make his health better. You can see he's humble, just, temperate, vengeful, and stubborn and bossy. So he's bossy and stubborn. Those two seem to go together. He's vengeful, but he's also just. So his vengeance is justified, and he's humble. So anyway, he's a vindictive paragon, which I don't fully know what that means. Sexual orientation, none. I don't. Maybe that means it hasn't been defined yet. I don't know what sexual orientation none is. I haven't seen that before. But he needs a spouse. So let's get started. Let's actually dive into the Crusader Kings stuff here. So you can see right now we're just getting started. We have 1 county and a pretty pathetic military. Our military is 92 guys. Elite quality, but 92 guys. So we need to work on that. One of the ways we can work on that is by building alliances. And one of the ways that you build alliances, the primary way you build alliances in Crusader Kings 2, or 3, is by marrying people in your family to other families. So basically, if we marry very close members of our family to other families, we can build alliances. So what we should really do is we should find a spouse for our son who's 13 and will be coming of age before too long. If we go ahead and we look by alliance power, we can try and marry him off to someone in the Duchy of Epirus. So if we actually close this window, we'll kind of move this off to the right a little bit, and then we kind of zoom out a bit. If we hover over this, you'll see the Duchess of Epirus will sort of highlight white. It's over here. So if we hover over it, you'll see this is and we search by alliance power, this is the strongest power that is willing to marry someone off to us, that they would generate the most military power. So if we look at marrying our son, his name is David, off to Aegidia, Hexavolus. If we look at marrying him off to her, this is actually a reasonable couple in that he's 13 and she's 10. So they're pretty close in terms of age. She is apparently ugly. Is that her? Oh, she's ugly. So that reduces fertility, and it also reduces attraction. They have a medium chance of children, although the idea of marrying my son off to someone who is less fertile is a little bit concerning because I only have 1 son. I don't have a ton of people who can take over the reins of our kingdom. So let's actually go ahead and clear that character out and see if we can't find somebody else. So I'm curious here. If we look at alliance power, you can see the next level down, there's Elunia Hexavolus, but she's only 2, and she won't be, of childbearing age until our son is into his mid-20s. And so that would be a little bit late to start trying to have heirs. It would limit the amount of time that we could be doing that. So let's look at Melissa Ampilus. She is of the Duchy of Caledia, which is actually a much better strategically located ally. You can see as we hover over here, these guys are on the eastern edge of the Byzantine Empire, very close to our own kingdom or our own county here, just one country between us. And so in the event of a war, they would be able to come to us much more quickly. Melissa's a little bit older. She's 18. So she would be slightly older. We could also go with Zenobia, who is just, and she's also there. So there's 3 children in this duchy that could all be potential matches for our son. And so I think we'll look at Zenobia, maybe. Let's see, if we click on Zenobia, you can see David won't get any prestige from marrying her, so she's not coming from like a more prestigious family. She will actually get quite a bit of prestige. She'll get 500 prestige for marrying into our family. You can see we will get an alliance with Dox Theodosius of Kalidia, and he is in control of an army of 506 men, 6 knights, 500 levies. Let's actually just compare that, though, with the previous group that we're looking at. Again, I don't think I want to marry my son to the Duchy of Epirus, but let's see if there's... they have 682 soldiers, so let's try this, actually. We have one other person who needs to get married right now, and that is Adonis Bagratoni, which is our half-brother, our incompetent steward, I believe. And so he's 53 years old, and this is where you get a little bit into the cringy stuff from Crusader Kings, is that I can marry him off to the child from Epirus that is ugly in order to get their soldiers. Our brother-in-law will get 100 prestige from it. The 10-year-old will get 40 prestige from it. There's a low chance of children, but he's 53 anyway. So, yeah, they have 682 soldiers that I want. So we'll go ahead and do that. I'm marrying a 10-year-old off to a 53-year-old. That's great. Okay, let's get back to our son, because he's the one who is going to be ruling when I pass away. So, alliance power. Wait. Relevance. Where did those other... So apparently I did something between marrying off to Epirus and this that will prevent us from getting this alliance with this guy here. So both of the people that we'd be looking at alliances are basically in the Balkans. They've got a good amount of soldiers, but they're all kind of far away. Also, we'd get a penalty for marrying her. I guess it would be marrying down or something. Let's actually hold off on marrying her son just for a little bit. He's still young enough that we don't have to do anything with that. So if we go back to the issues here, it says we can declare war on people. I'm not going to do that right now. We can create a cadet branch, which I'm actually going to do right away. So this is basically creating a sub-house within our house. So we're in the house of Bagratoni. But we're going to go ahead and create a cadet branch within our house, which will basically create our own dynasty within a dynasty. So it is our family sort of abandoning the legacy of our Bagratoni family by themselves, carving out our own path in history, with me as the head of our new branch's great dynasty. So really, it'll be our count's house. All right, so in addition to doing that, I can designate a guardian for my child, which I'm going to do. My child currently is good at stewardship, so good with finances. That's a good thing to be skilled at. I also would like to improve his skill with soldiering, because I imagine we're going to need that. So I think what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll find who's the best soldier in our realm. I guess it's me. I'm going to be the guardian of my own child. That's fine. I'm sure he'll love me. My son loves me, by the way. You can see his opinion of me is plus 100. So he's my father, or I'm his father, so he gets me a plus 50, which is great. We have Confederate Partition, which gives a plus 10 for whatever reason. Same dynasty, plus 5. Personal diplomacy, plus 12. He likes the fact that I'm honest, and me being his guardian also gives a plus 15. So you can see there we've got a great father-son relationship going here. And we are Confederate Partition, so that means that when I die, my territory will all be divided evenly amongst my children. And so if I had a bunch of children, that might be a problem. But I don't have a bunch of children, and so it's not a problem. If we go to domain here, you can see succession, sorry. You can see we're Confederate Partition, which means essentially that titles are divided equally between your children. New titles may be created for younger heirs. Upon succession, all titles held by the late ruler will be divided amongst their eligible children, with the player heir always being given the primary title realm capital. any direct de jure titles associated with it. Younger children will be given titles starting with those of the same rank as the primary title. If none are available, they'll be given to a lower ranking titles. So basically, this can really rapidly fragment your kingdom if you have a lot of children. Right now, we only have one. So David will get everything. Granted, we only really have one title at the moment. The only title we have is the County of Kakiti. Kakit? I'm not sure. And we have claims on a bunch of other stuff due to our de jure nature. But anyway, what's our family motto? I didn't see that. We come from a good life. Okay, good to know. You can also change the name of our house since we've created our own house. So I could, create the House of the Butchers or something. We haven't chosen a lifestyle yet for our character. So basically, we can choose how our character is going to develop, as if we're going to go down a diplomatic path, if we're going to go down a martial path, a stewardship path, intrigue, or learning. Our own character's personality of being a flamboyant trickster will actually give us bonuses. Actually, it's not because of him being a flamboyant trickster. It's because of our intrigue education, so we were educated in intrigue, we gain 20% more experience in this lifestyle. Now, what these basically are is they're different perks that you get. So we've already gone down the seducer line, so we've already completed this center lifestyle choice, if you will, so we've decided to become a seducer. We have other elements within the intrigue lifestyle focus that we can unlock. We basically have to choose a focus, so we can be a skullduggery focus, a temptation focus, or an intimidation focus within the intrigue trees. So schemes, subversion, and secrets is the first one. It gives us a +10 likelihood of an agent accepting. We also get a +3 intrigue skill level, and we get 30 intrigue experience per month. As we gain intrigue experience, once we get to 1,000, we'll be able to unlock the next perk within either of these trees. We've already completed the seducer tree, so we've got the torturer tree. So right now we've already got dark insights, dreadful, and thriving in chaos. The next one down would be divine retribution, which will mean that we wouldn't lose piety or clergy opinion when we torture people or execute people. So if we want to torture or execute, that would be fun. Or not fun, but that would be the right choice to go down. And then eventually you can get down to malice implicit, fear tax, forever and famous, and prison feudal complex, which would get us to the torture perk, which again would influence our character's skills and their effectiveness at different types of schemes or whatnot. We could also go down the schemer trait, which would mean we would initially go toward truth is relative, and then this would make us more effective scheming against others. If we wanted to go down the martial track, there's 3 different tracks within each one of these. The martial track would give us perks toward actually being a better soldier. The diplomacy track would give us better skills at being a diplomat. I actually, even though my lifestyle focus gives me a bonus, or my lifestyle training and education gives me a bonus on intrigue, I'd prefer to go down the diplomacy route. We're already at level 14 of diplomacy, which means we're already pretty good. And I would like to try and get better at marrying our children or our children's children off to folks to build alliances and get stronger. We're so weak right now that we really are dependent on having alliances. And so I really think diplomacy is important, even if we don't get all the bonuses for that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go down the foreign affairs focus. That'll give us a +3 diplomacy trait, which I think will be, well, maybe we could go down the family focus, which would give us +2 diplomacy or +20 fertility. Or we could go down the majesty focus, which gives us +1 diplomacy, but also gives us more prestige. I'm thinking we'll actually go down the forever. We'll go down the family focus. So we get it's a better, best of both worlds. We hedge with 2 diplomacy traits, which should get us to 16. And we're more likely to have more children, which will make us more resilient in the event that something happens to our son. Also, it gives us more people to marry people off to. So we can do this. We select this. We can only change this once every 5 years, and that means that we'll start gaining diplomacy experience down these different tracks and get ourselves better at maybe marrying our children off to more powerful people to protect us because our army sucks. And then our culture also is working on researching different technologies. Currently, we're a tribal culture, which doesn't really make sense for Byzantine history, although I don't know a ton about Georgians. But currently, the innovation going on is focused on barracks and mustering grounds. Innovation is basically tech development, and that is determined in large part by sort of the focuses or the perks that the family head looks at, is my understanding of it. But it kind of runs itself. Like, I don't really get a chance to directly influence any of this stuff because we're not the head of our culture. And so the culture head will pick sort of the fascination, and then that will impact innovations and things like that. But we're not the culture head, so it doesn't really matter. We'll just kind of start on slow. Apparently, our military got much better much more quickly, so that's nice. We're up to 300 soldiers. So maybe that was just, like, somehow wrong. Let's see if our diplomacy trait and the fact that our diplomacy went up allows us to set up a better relationship for our son right out the gate. Nope. All right, so we'll wait on this a little bit. Actually, what I should do... Let's go to our council here. Let's go ahead and... Our bishop or whatever, we're just going to have him focus on religious relations, I guess. I don't really care. We only have one county. We're also going to have our diplomat focus on foreign affairs, although that could give enemy claims, enemy truce, neighborhood opinion loss. So maybe we're... Can I just have him do nothing? I guess I'd rather take... He's so bad. So, by the way, you get possible side effects with any mission you give, but when you have a bad person, like this Chancellor who's only a level 6 diplomacy, you'll see you only have negative possible side effects, whereas if you have a good soldier like your Marshal here, you can see the possible side effects are only positive. They're all green. So if you have someone who's good at something, they don't have negative side effects generally. If you have someone who's mediocre at something, like our Intriguer, you could have either negative or positive side effects. Or if you have someone who's really bad, then you get sort of this direct vassal opinion perk because we're focusing on diplomacy, but you also only get negative side effects. And over time, you're likely to get some of those side effects. So that kind of sucks. All right, so our steward is going to focus on development. That's another thing that I didn't really talk a whole lot about. But basically, your counties or whatnot develop on a scale of 0 to 100. So currently, our counties are largely underdeveloped. They're 6 out of 100. But so is everybody else around here. And just for point of fact, this is something that's designed to move toward 100 over the course of the entire game, the 600 years or so. Even Constantinople, the head of the Orthodox world, one of the most glorious cities in this era, is only a level 25 development. So obviously massively further ahead in development than we are, but still nowhere near 100 yet. So it's going to go up toward 100 over the course of time. Development influences things like the economic output or things like that, as what you would think development would within a province. We're going to have our steward focus on economic development rather than more efficient tax collection. Tax collection obviously would increase our income, but an increase of 6% in domain taxes, 6% on top of 1.7 isn't very meaningful. Getting our development up would be meaningful. So we're going to focus our steward on increasing the development in our county. We're going to go ahead and focus our Marshal on organizing our levies, which could increase the efficiency or the effectiveness of raising our levies, of training our soldiers, of getting our martial skills trained up a little bit, and might also increase military presence, which I'm assuming is some sort of more levies or something like that. So this guy's going to focus on county development. This guy's going to focus on military development. I'm having our steward focus on... our chancellor focus on domestic affairs, mainly because I think lower vassal opinion is the lowest risk of any of these options here, and our crown authority is already so low that if we get a negative penalty there, no big deal. And I don't want him to create an incident with other folks outside of our territory here. All right, so Spy Master Nurse, I would like you to go ahead and find secrets in... I don't know. So I'm not 100% sure if the green areas represent areas that we can't assign our Spy Master to. I'm going to have him go that way anyway, even though it's gray. It may be a waste of time. But I want to try and see if I can find any dirt, find anything I can use as a tool to blackmail that count into letting my son marry his daughter. Meanwhile, the Principality of Armenia should be something we look into as well. They have a daughter who's not betrothed. Can we arrange a marriage with our son? Probably would say no. They're much more powerful than we are. Yeah, we would get a ton of prestige if they accept, but they will not accept because our son apparently is marrying down to them, as well as they would lose their children would result in us taking over the entire principality. So that's the other thing to factor in is the children of this family will inherit based off of the male lineage. And so if their son dies and they only have like a daughter or whatnot, we could end up getting claim to the entire Armenian principality, which they won't be too thrilled about. I think I can do some personal diplomacy with Prince Ashut, so we'll try and go ahead and actually, let's do this. Let's just start trying to sway Dox Theodosius. We've got a 52% chance of success. It'll take 10 months. There is a chance that our rank being lower than him means that that it may not be as likely to occur, but we're going to start trying to sway Theodosius. You know, really, if I'm going to go down this route, what I should have done is I should have focused on the intrigue perks, because that would make these sorts of schemes more effective. Kuba, I've actually been enjoying this quite a bit. I mean, I know I'm only playing as a single county right now, but I've put about 15 hours into this pre-release, and I think compared to like any of the other recently released Paradox games, this seems to be in the best shape of any of the Paradox games at release that I've played so far. I don't play a ton of Paradox games on my channel, but I do have I do play Paradox games generally. And I think, like, when you compare it to something like Imperator wasn't necessarily broken. Well, the whole mana system was a little bit iffy. A lot of people didn't like that. I think the nice thing is you don't have anything like that in this game. And then, I mean, you kind of do in some ways, like with the way you spend diplomacy or prestige, but, prestige or piety for things. But it's not like as apparent of like, oh, just spend this and your issues are fixed. But I do think that this game is pretty solid from the beginning. All right, now the one thing is when you are a small county like this, a lot of things don't happen real fast, so it's a slower game. You can see despite his efforts, he's not he's not finding anything there. So why don't we go ahead and let's switch our let's go ahead and pause. Let's go ahead and switch our Spy Master's mission here. So let's send him down here into the Prince. Oh, okay. So the Principality of Armenia is apparently now independent from the Abbasid realm. So it looks like the Principality has broken away to form its own independent realm here. So if we go ahead and we take a look at Ashut here, we don't really have good chances of swaying him. We'll start some espionage in his territory. Is there anyone who is, like, related to his wife? Well, actually, our wife is related to his wife. So we are related by marriage to the Armenians, which is interesting, as I would think that we would have an alliance with these people, but we don't. Probably because it's a marriage that occurred before the game started, but I would have thought we would have an alliance with them, given that my wife is the sister of the Prince of Armenia. All right, so Theodosius swayed this guy, plus 25 opinion of us. So our Spy Master did succeed in swaying Dox Theodosius, so he's now a plus 51. I'm still guessing that's not enough to let us marry his daughter. Oh, he will accept. Nice. So our diplomacy with him worked, so we can get an alliance with the Duchy of Kaledia, if that's how you pronounce it. They have 947 soldiers under their ranks, so they're a pretty strong country relative to our own 341. So that would give us about 1,200 soldiers within close proximity to our territory, and then another, I think, 500 or so would come from over here. So we'd have a total alliance strength of just shy of 2,000 soldiers. So I'm going to go ahead and marry my son. My son won't get any prestige by marrying her. It's the third daughter of his anyway, so there's not a huge risk that there's any way that we'd end up getting control of his duchy. You can see his military is superior to ours. He also has 6 knights. He just barely will accept. He does desire an alliance, so I don't know if that was the case before. Maybe he didn't desire one before, but we're going to go ahead and send a proposal. Our son, who is currently 14, marrying the 11-year-old Zenobia Amapilius. I'm not sure if they'll actually get married now or if it'll wait till he becomes of age, so in like 2 years. Judge Cam, Pharaoh Man, and Kuba 96 also thank you for the follows. And Power Clown 214. All right, we formed an alliance with the Dox Theodosius of Kaledia. Excellent. So now we have 2 alliances. We have an alliance with Epirus and an alliance with Kaledia. Immediately a call to war. Okay, the Hafsid Emirate. Where are these guys? First off, how strong are they? 391 soldiers, not crazy strong. I don't see where these guys are. Oh, they're on the island of Crete? I'm not going to send anyone down there. If we accept, we spend 75 of our prestige to join the war. I don't know. Oh, no, that's the impact on Epirus. He spends 75 prestige. If we decline, he loses 10 opinion of us. I mean, might as well accept, but I don't think we're going to send any soldiers out there. So we'll see. Does he really need us? 391 versus 1,100? I guess 300 of that is me, but still, I don't think he really needs us for this war. I'm much more interested in fighting my neighbors here. So if we zoom in, you can see, in addition to the Armenian principalities getting their independence here from the Abbasid Empire, you can also see that there's one leftover territory here in Tbilisi that is apparently a sheikdom in the county of Abbasid. You can see it is ruled by the Sheikh Mohammed, and you can see that they currently have one title, so this is their only title. They have claims on other countries, but I don't actually see any alliances with these guys. I don't see any indication that these guys have an alliance with anyone. Which means I might be in another war, but I wouldn't mind fighting these guys. So I can declare a holy war to try and take over their county and add it to my realm. Oh, wait. Nope. That's a bad idea. Their military strength is 2,400? Our military strength is only similar if we call all our allies in, and the other guys are already currently engaged in a war, so maybe not right now. Nope, not going to join. I saw that the Abbasids will join. I'm not that crazy. Not yet, anyway. You only live once? You know, I mentioned that that I played 4 or 5 games in the last few days. One of them has turned out really well, and I have a save for that. So if this stream turns poorly, we can pick up the Duchy of Georgia, because that's what we were playing as. We've built this into I think we took Tbilisi, we took Hereti, Iran. So we've got, a duchy going. But my other 4 games, I got crushed. Wow. One sec. Greetings, my charming liege. Despite our best efforts, my agents have yet to uncover any... You know what? Keep it up. All right, what is going on here? There's a raid. Shit. Slow down. Religious refugees. So... trying to figure out what's going on with the raid. Religious refugees. Prince Tornuk rules over the nearby county Kartali. So our neighbors over here under Prince Tornuk of... I can't pronounce that. which is home to a large number of devout Orthodox. The Apostle Prince could easily persuade the faithful Orthodox living there, and it's my responsibility to protect them from his astray. So I guess there's religious persecution going on next door. So we can either help, so we get an unpressed claim against this territory. We gain 100 piety, but we get 10 stress because, frankly, we're lazy. So there's a stress mechanic here, which basically represents the stress of rule. And as you gain stress, there's impacts to your character, to their health, and also can have events as well, as you might go slowly crazy. So we can try and help through gaining a claim. So basically us saying, we'll launch a war against you, or the option to launch a war against you based on what you're doing to the faithful. We can try and smuggle Orthodox out of his territory, which will give us, his county will get population fleeing from that province. We will get refugees, so an increase of population in our province, but the prince will lose 25 opinion of us. We'll also get 35 stress because we're honest, so we're basically deceiving this guy, who currently has a plus 31 opinion of us. So he's not Orthodox, which is the root of all of this. But we do have good personal diplomacy. We're honest. We are gregarious and of the same dynasty. So we've got a pretty good relation with him. The other option is to send a diplomatic envoy to Tornoric to discuss their treatment. That result will give us a 100% chance that we'll get a diplomatic challenge. We'll get 100 diplomacy lifestyle experience. County Catali will get local faith respected for 10 years. We'll get 25 opinion of this character as well, so we get a much better relationship with him. And he won't be suspicious. There's a 0% chance that he'll become suspicious of us. So we'll do this. There's no stress penalty. We'll get a positive trait in that particular county. We'll help the people out, and we'll get a better relationship with the guy. Meanwhile, there are raiders going on in our neighboring counties here, in the Mayor Nurse's city. But I'm going to go ahead and raise our armies to try and help him. So it looks like there are raiders or bandits here occurring. 8 days left until what? The city falls? Shit. I don't think I'm going to get there in time. There's no walls there. That's the problem. All right. I think we arrived too late to stop them from looting the territory. But we will fight a battle here. You can see this ongoing battle against these bandits. Oh, shit. Someone died. All right, and that's going to do it for my first look at Crusader Kings III, a new game out today by Paradox Interactive. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was taken from a stream from my Twitch channel. It was taken from a live stream from over there from last night. Having a lot of fun with this game early. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave your thoughts down below, though. I'm really curious what you guys think. What are you guys thinking about the way this looks, about the gameplay, if you want to see more of this on the channel? I don't do a lot of Paradox games on the channel, but I do enjoy them quite a bit, and I think Crusader Kings III is really in some pretty darn good shape for a brand new game just coming out. Not a ton of bugs or other things like that, but I'm curious what all of you guys think. It seems to be pretty much fully featured. A lot of positives, in my opinion, behind this game. This might be the best Paradox game in terms of the state of the game at release, at least as far as I can remember. Anyway, guys, until next time, once again, this is the Historical Gamer. Thank you for watching, and until next time, I'm out.